All right, everyone, it's time for a garden update. The garden still looks a little bit messy, but I've managed to mainly clear it out. This is the coriander. Seed is drying out well. I already harvested a bunch of it, probably 2 bottles worth. There's a ton of bumblebees at all times on the catnip. Now, a couple problems. The garlic got rotted out. The tops rotted because they got... the garden was not being well maintained in my absence when I was in the Netherlands for the last month. So the tops rotted. The bulbs are still alive, though. I've already checked a couple of them. The eggplant, meanwhile, didn't give a shit. Eggplant's like, fuck you. We're going to have quite a few eggplants this year, I think. That's pretty big. There are a few army worms on it, but, you know, you just take them and you basically squish them there. It's not very pleasant to have to do that. They're pretty gelatinous. The turnips did well. Turnips did really, really well. That one's bulbed up, and all of them have. That's just about ready for picking, actually, in there. The spinach didn't do anything. The peas are all fucked. There are still some peas there, but they're not worth a damn. The cucumbers, I weeded them out and flooded them with good fertilizer, a double dose of it, and I'm hoping that that rehabs them. I'm not convinced that they're a lost cause, and there were a lot of cucumbers, trust me, on those plants. Pepper's generally doing well. Again, I have no clue. I think that's a poblano. I'm not sure, because I lost track of where I planted them. And the chamomile loves it. The carrots, actually, those that didn't get eaten down by that fucking vole that Quincy killed the other day, they're doing well. Look at the size of these fucking tomatoes. Yeah, you got some good tomato action going on in there. I've got 5 cherry tomato plants here, and they're all perfect. This is definitely a year for tomatoes and for sweet basil, although not for red basil. My red basil died, and I don't know why. Nicotiana, they're closed this time of day. That sunflower is approaching, I'd say, 8 feet tall. There's gonna be some good sunflower action. The Roma's doing well, along with more basil. They're good at companion planting. Now look at this, cotton plants. They're doing well. We might actually get literal cotton. It's possible that we're gonna get some actual cotton from those. And as far as okra, oh yeah, talk about the star of the show. I harvested 8 okra pods the other day. There's several more that are ready to be harvested now, and now they're putting out another flush, so now we're not gonna be able to keep up with the okra. There's a lot of it. Huge pile of tea, although this side for some reason it's dying back. You gotta pick it down, otherwise eventually it goes by. Swiss chard did well. It didn't have a high germination rate, but those that germinated, they did well. We'll get a couple of pickings. Lots and lots and lots of fucking lettuce. And the broccoli. Oh yes. Oh yes. There is a fucking ton of broccoli. First time I've managed to grow it successfully, by the way. Gonna get some mustard seeds, anyone? Yeah, I think so. The beets, some of them are a little bit dilapidated, but those that survived generally did fairly well. Look at all the peppers on this plant, by the way, yeah. I think, again, I think those are poblanos, but I'm not 100% sure. It's fucking loaded. Problem is, if I don't know if it's a bell pepper or a poblano, I don't know when I'm supposed to pick it. Got a cantaloupe in there. Little baby melon. I don't know if it's going to amount to anything. There are lots of Turk's turbans. Thank you to Heritage Heirloom Seed Company, by the way, because most of your seeds did really well. Lots and lots of collards. Few are wilty. Again, they were overgrown and they needed fertilizer, so I basically flooded the bed, and that should boost them up. In fact, they literally visibly started growing almost right afterwards. This is the magical foam plane that my dead grandfather appears to like playing with to troll my dad. Weird story, I told it on Twitter. You can go and look it up for yourself. Onions, this was storm damage. Some of the onions got knocked down, unfortunately. And the potatoes, they're alive, but they got eaten down so much by beetles, and they got blight in them because my mother decided to put straw on them instead of mounding soil because it's easier. And it didn't really work out so well, so I'm leaving them alone. There will probably be potatoes, it's just there's not going to be as many. And there's a shit ton of beans in there, by the way. Half of them haven't even been picked. Herbs growing well. Another eggplant, of course. My peach tree. There's another one over in the collards. Yes, in fact, there's a third one over on the side near the broccoli. But, I mean, how many peaches do you really need? The corn is Again, I flooded this bed with fertilizer after weeding it. The corn itself is lackluster. I mean, it's okay. I mean, it's cobbing up and everything. We will get corn. It's just some of it'll be diminutive. There's still, again, a shit ton of beans in there. And look at the size of that squash plant in the middle. The other one got nibbed down by some sort of species. Again, I think it's a vole that Quincy killed. There's a squash in there. Nice squash there. There's a couple more over there. I think there's 5 on that plant. I mean, it's gigantic. Biggest squash plant I've ever grown, again, from Heritage Heirloom Seed Company, from their seed survival bucket. So overall, I'd give the garden a B- for the year. Some things did really well. Other things got completely decimated, like, again, my red basil is gone. Some things got predated upon, but those that didn't are doing well. I already picked one of these carrots accidentally when I was weeding, and it was actually, for this time of year, God, it was pretty big. I think that the tomatoes and the okra and the Turk's turban and the broccoli, I guess, are doing the best overall this year. And the herbs, but, you know, it's impossible not to be able to grow herbs. I'm waiting for some of this fucking Swiss chard. Next year, I'm going to grow less pak choy, more Swiss chard. I'm going to limit the amount of horseradish, because, I mean, it's trying to take over the central bed there. I'm going to be cleaning all this out and improving the format a little bit come fall. Like, these 2 beds will be conjoined. It's just too hard to maneuver the lawnmower in there. This bed and the one next to it with the garlic will be expanded, because all those boxes and shit won't be there. They'll be expanded a few feet out that way. I'm going to expand the herb Viking garden. In fact, I could conjoin these 2, come to think of it. Make just one big Viking bed. And then I'm going to be improving the backside and creating a bed in the corner, actually, where there currently is none. Expanding the fence slightly in this direction, I'll widen and raise this up. I'll actually have a border around it so that this doesn't happen again, because, again, we'll get some more cucumbers, but it's going to be underwhelming. Not that it really matters. I mean, other than my sister's fiance, most other people in the household don't really eat cucumbers. I'll put it in a Greek pasta or I'll make pickles, but there's not going to be enough to bother pickling them until next year. I'm thinking this bed right now, this will be the cucumber bed. I can get 2 rows in there and fully trellis them, and it'll only be part of the bed, though. I only want to have 6 fucking cucumber plants next year. I don't have the fucking time or the inclination to grow more than that. They were doing really well, again, from Heritage Heirloom. Considering the situation with not being weeded or fertilized for an entire month, actually the garden, okay, maybe it's a B instead of a B-. But there are some problems out here that need to be addressed. And then, of course, in the fall, add the charcoal. I'm not going to bother charging it, though, because I'm going to be using green manure, and then it'll overwinter. It'll balance in the soil. And everything next year should be pretty spiffy. There's going to be an awful lot going on. It looks pretty, though. I mean, there's little dots of flowers and stuff like that. I like black-eyed Susans. They're totally underrated. That's about all. Peace out.